Well, the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission says prescription drugs can impair drivers and cause accidents. Kenya Ross is here with the details. Kenya?
Yes, Jennifer, the Safety Commission says while drinking alcohol or using illegal drugs can cause those fatal crashes, people should think about the possible dangers of prescribed drugs as well.
What we found was, there's a lot of polysubstance abusers. So when people get their blood or their urine checked after they get arrested for DUI, what we found is about half of the samples taken contained other drugs. So not just alcohol, but alcohol and prescription drugs.
The Louisiana Highway Safety Commission is highlighting the risk of prescription drug impairment while driving. If not used correctly, some drugs like allergy medicine, antidepressants, and muscle relaxers can affect a driver's coordination. A clinical supervisor for the Northeast Delta Human Services Authority says driving while impaired by prescription drugs is not always due to an addiction.
Anytime, someone doesn't follow the prescription, the way it's written, the way they're supposed to take it, they might have some problems. So it might not be because they have an alcohol or drug abuse problem. It's just that, with certain medications, they have, effects. They have negative side effects, or they affect a person's ability to be able to think on their feet or think quickly if they're driving.
The Safety Commission says they've already begun sending out special pharmacy bags to local pharmacists around the state to educate drivers how their medicine could affect them.
People are going to look at the bag, hopefully when they check out at the line or when they get home and they take the medication, they're going to look at the bag and say, I probably should not drive after I take my pain medicine today or something, or I should set up to get a ride or, to call a ride share.
And the Safety Commission says Northeast Louisiana residents should see the bags now if they get their medicine from a local pharmacist. A second shipment will be sent out at the beginning of July. Jennifer?